Hello, my friends. Today we're going to meditate on Moloch. I love this idea of what Moloch is. And I've skipped the beginning passage to simply bring up the great pieces of what is touched on in this Slate Codex piece, Meditations on Moloch, to bring you into a new frontier of thought. A lot of commenters say Moloch represents capitalism. This is definitely a piece of it, even a big piece, but it doesn't quite fit. Moloch is introduced as the answer to a question. What does it? Earth could be fair, all men glad and wise. Instead, we have prisons, smokestacks, and asylums. What sphinx of cement and aluminum breaks open their skulls and eats up their imagination? Moloch does it. Moloch is often described as the god of lack of coordination. Everyone is hurting each other, the planet is rampant with injustices, whole societies plunder groups of their own people, mothers imprison sons, children perish while brothers war. The goddess answers, what is the matter with that, if that's what you want to do? And it's answered, nobody really wants it, everyone hates it. It's like, alright, then let's stop. And that's the question. If everyone hates the current system, who perpetuates it? And that's Moloch. It's powerful because it throws in a little bit of relief in this system to say, yeah, no one does want it. We all do want better. We all wish for better. We're just uncoordinated. We just lack the implicit capability. And I really like this idea of that Moloch as something which is being debated and defined, because we have these archetypal godlike figures who are already defined of what evil is or what this failure is. And I love one that's coming into the arena as something new that's debated. There's this aspect of now we have the capability to define it and then define how to build the spear to kill it. What is the silver bullet in this case? In my opinion, capitalism is somewhat doing a good job of explaining this. And it definitely isn't the whole thing. Because there's a greater aspect of a failure of just how we view capitalism. It's not capitalism itself. It's not this idea of a free trade or a free market, but it's somewhat of our status system being mishanded and misrepresented. That's at least a spear that can kill Moloch, is this status system. Status is something which truly does run the world. People want to rank up in their local status hierarchies. We have a global status hierarchy that's often just focused on wealth, which is potentially why people corroborate this directly to capitalism. But we can have higher forms of this. We can have designer goods, which represent how much good you did outwardly. And people competing for that form of status is a really good thing. How much did you defeat Moloch is really what you're representing. So, there's one spear at the very least. Let's continue. Imagine a country with two rules. First, every person must spend 8 hours a day giving themselves strong electric shocks. Second, if anyone fails to follow a rule, including this one, or speaks out against it, or fails to enforce it, all citizens must unite to kill that person. Suppose these rules were well enough established by tradition that everyone expected them to be enforced. So you shock yourself for 8 hours a day because you know if you don't, everyone else will kill you, because if they don't, everyone else will kill them, and so on. Every single citizen hates the system, but for a lack of a good coordination mechanism, it endures. From a God's eye view, we can optimize the system to everyone agrees to stop doing this at once, but no one within the system is able to effect the transition without great risk to themselves. And now they list 10 multipolar traps in the real world, which is related to that. And I think this is a really good thought experiment because there's also a meme of people standing with politician on cliff. I hope that brings it up. No, it didn't. So there's a there it did. It's the number one. The people don't know their true power. We're all looking towards, hey, here's a place where this coordination mechanism is failing at the government level, our capability to be represented. If we all just look together to build a better system, this system collapses. And so we hold this system up. That is the interesting piece of this. And it's the coordination mechanism to get everyone to walk off together. Because there's a punishment for walking outside of here. But that punishment really is more of a lack of status, I think, today. I don't think there's a real punishment for like speaking against. We do have free speech. We have a lot of open minds. And it's more so everyone walking off in different directions. Or even not even caring about walking off, kind of just being trapped and, not knowing where to walk. People, I think, are ready to walk today. They just don't know where to go. They don't have a trusted leader who says, let's walk this way. And I think that's a part of the sphere that exists, is a leader. Just as the course of a river is latent in a terrain even before the first rain falls on it, so the existence of Caesar's palace was latent in neurobiology, economics, and regulatory regimes even before it existed. The entrepreneur who built it was just filling in the ghostly lines with real concrete. So we have all this amazing technological and cognitive energy, the brilliance of the human species, wasted on reciting the lines written by poorly evolved cellular receptors in blind economics, like gods being ordered around by a moron. And this is in relation to Las Vegas doesn't exist because of some decision to hedonically optimize civilization. It exists because of a quirk in dopaminergic reward circuits, which we're taking advantage of. We're addicted without recognizing cigarettes of today, I would say. Cigarettes are seen as bad. There's obviously still a lot of users of them. And there's also no direct, beautiful path for these people to like have a high status offboarding into a better life. Now, capitalism's failure, maybe, but more so a failure to distribute money towards helping people. It's a lot more profitable to make more money by extracting of people. That's capitalism's failure mode. Now, it just takes people waking up to the idea that the only eternal currency is the good karma we can produce or grab. And so money is a tool towards those means. You can't just farm a lot of bad karma and try to make it back up. It's not a good move. Some people have mystical experiences in Vegas and see God. There in Las Vegas, I saw Moloch. True surplus will set us free, I think. What we demand will set us free from some of the structural failures And I got that from, this is saying a profit-maximizing slave master isn't going to let his slaves die because that's not going to actually make more profit. He needs to get sure they're well fed and well rested. That's actually how they maximize it. And so with a society, you need a happy society. It can't be totalitarian, it must be authoritarian where they don't recognize it. The opposite of a trap is a garden. Things are easy to solve from a God's-eye view, so if everyone comes together into a superorganism, that superorganism can solve problems with ease and finesse. An intense competition between agents has turned into a garden, with a single gardener dictating where everything should go and removing elements that do not conform to the pattern. The two active ingredients of government are laws plus violence. More abstractly, agreements plus enforcement mechanism. Many other things besides government share these two active ingredients, and so are able to act as coordination mechanisms to avoid traps. For example, since students are competing against each other, directly if classes are graded on a curve, but always indirectly for college admissions and jobs, there's intense pressure for individual students to cheat. The teacher and school play the role of a government by having rules, for example, against cheating, and the ability to punish students who break them. But the emergent social structure of the students themselves is also a sort of government. If students shun and distrust cheaters, then there are rules, don't cheat, and an enforcement mechanism, or else we will shun you. Social codes, gentlemen's agreements, industrial guilds, criminal organizations, traditions, friendships, schools, cooperations, corporations, and religions are all coordinating institutions that keep us out of traps by changing our incentives. Status is one incentive mechanism. But these institutions not only incentivize others, but are incentivized themselves. These are large organizations made of lots of people who are competing for jobs, status, prestige, etc. There's no reason they should be immune to the same multipolar traps as everyone else, and indeed they aren't. Governments can, in theory, keep citizens, etc., corporations, etc., out of certain traps. But as we saw above, there are many traps that government themselves can fall into. The United States tried to solve the problem by having multiple levels of governments, unbreakable constitutional laws, checks and balances between branches, and a couple of other hacks. But then the political class formed over time because there was so much power in this system that groups formed in order to control aspects of the system. And you have two-party system now, with pretty much a controlled push towards who gets to get the claim to fame on the voting podiums. Is this really this long? Okay, that's just a lot of comments. Not as bad. But let's see how he summarizes it. God of humans. The other gods sit on their thrones and think, ha ha ha, a god who doesn't even control any hell monsters or command his worshippers to become killing machines. What a weakling. This is going to be so easy. But somehow Elua is still there. No one knows exactly how. And the gods who oppose him tend to find themselves meeting with a surprising number of unfortunate accidents. I think this was also called, there's a really good video, the goddess of everything else. There are many gods, but this one is ours. Bertrand Russell said, one should respect public opinion insofar as is necessary to avoid starvation and keep out of prison. I think this God represents just the interconnectedness of humanity, that it's the meme of, it's the relationships you make along the way. And it's that understanding that That's what matters. That's what's important. And when we value that, and when we look towards that value as the highest, true, real value, that's when we start to defeat these gods, the evil ones, and worship a Lua, or whatever name you want to give it. It is only a childish thing that the human species has not yet outgrown, and someday we'll get over it. Other gods get placated until we are strong enough to take them on. Alua gets worshipped. My favorite so far is my paladin's battle cry is not allowed to be good for the good god. And at some point, matters will come to a head. The question everyone has after reading Ginsburg is, what is Moloch? My answer is, Moloch is exactly what the history books say. He is the god of child sacrifice, the fiery furnace into which you can toss your babies in exchange for victory in war. He always and everywhere offers the same deal. Throw what you love most into the flames, and I can grant you power. As long as the offer's open, it will be irresistible. So we need to close the offer. Only another god can kill Moloch. We have one on our side, but he needs our help. We should give it to him. We need to give that god a spear. We can act as a spear. Coordination. Coordination can happen from a story. Alua is just a story. And it's us telling the story of Alua versus Moloch. And is Alua winning? Well, that's up to us and for us to build the coordination mechanisms so that Alua is strengthened and can win and is believed to be winning and has facilities where we can help Alua win. I looked at this, Jacob, this meme, and I realized about this is people all today do know that they have the power. I think that meme is out there, that understanding. But the real question is where to walk. It's like people want to get off this, but they don't know where to walk. And so it takes not someone just walking outside of the pack and figuring it out, but someone getting all of the pack to listen and say, hey, look at what I can do. And they do some cool, they make the best sign in the world. Maybe that sign is an app that a lot of people use, and they start coordinating their thoughts. And then they get to be a thought leader, and they say, look, here's where we can go. And that's a driving force. That is a Moloch defeater. That is a story. Dreams, admirations, illuminations, religion. The whole boatload of sensitive bullshit. Breakthroughs over the river, flicks and crucifixions gone down the floods. Highs, epiphanies, despairs, 10 years of animal screams and suicides. Minds, new loves, mad generation, down on the rocks of time. Real holy laughter in the river. They saw it all in the wild eyes. The holy yells, they bared farewell. They jumped off the roof to solitude, waving, carrying flowers, down to the river, into the street. And so, what I say is that it's great that we're starting to define this sort of undefined idea of evil. Like, where does this evil come from? It is not us. We are good. We want to be good, and we want to be better. But we have this human aspect. And without better institutions, we're not going to be there. Without aligned AI, we're not going to be there. And so we build a systemic type of fixing story and lean into it.
And the beauty is we could all be acting purely selfishly, purely in our self-interests. But if we have trust in a good coordination mechanism, and that good coordination mechanism is actually effective, by following what it's saying, we'll all get more than if we didn't follow its inputs and its guidance, provided there's a critical mass of folks participating in this. So
coordination, baby. LFG.
Yeah. So yeah, it just takes a small crew of folks who are ready to
a few people to believe it and to lean in and to go viral.
So few people could meet the needs of everyone on Earth if we work together.
Let's fucking do it.